I mean, the original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her.
Yeah.
Weird.
Behind the scenes, you guys know as well as I do that those executives like Spielberg are looking at that saying, Rachel Zegler can F right off.
Ever see a film tank so bad that even the star had to slump in a ghost town theater just to grapple with it? That's precisely what went down with Rachel Zegler, who didn't just headline Disney's Snow White. She fronted one of the ugliest Hollywood belly flops ever recorded. After the movie's second weekend stats and critiques rolled in, this wasn't merely a box office dud, it was a career-crushing disaster. From political tangents to co-star spats, Rachel didn't just torch bridges, she set the entire realm ablaze. And now, after months of hauling this train wreck through every scandal imaginable, Rachel Zegler totally unraveled when Snow White cratered. You know the flop's legit when the lead actress drags herself to her own flick and it's so dead silent you can hear the popcorn weeping. She hauled her pals along, probably for a lifeline, to what felt less like a Disney blockbuster and more like a solo watch party. Stans might claim they just booked the whole place out, but come on, everyone's got clips of those barren theaters. Even when I got dragged to see it, the place was a wasteland, and Rachel still filmed herself snagging tickets. So yeah, this is straight up humiliating. And Instagram nabbed every cringy second, flipping what should have been a victory lap into prime meme fodder. Those clips screamed, "Hey gang, come watch me nuke my career in crystal clear 4K vibes." You know that move where someone leans into the mess, acting like they're part of the gag to play it off as edgy or dodge the hate? Yeah, that flopped here too. It just cranked the absurdity dial to 11. So now, post-second weekend, let's dig into the numbers, because they're brutal. Snow White supposedly bled Disney $370 million to produce and push, edging close to $400 million, dumped into rehashing a timeless classic as some preachy modern fable. And what did they snag for that $370 million? A $43 million opening, and audiences bolting for the exits. Even Dumbo outdid this, and that pachyderm literally flapped out of cinemas. So, second weekend hits, and Snow White nosedives with a savage 66% drop in sales, scraping in $14.2 million and getting booted to second place by the action flick A Hardworking Man, which, by the way, had 1,000 fewer theaters and no juggernaut like Disney propping it up. So just let that marinate. An unassuming action flick steamrolled Disney's crown jewel fairy tale, which had 2 weeks under its belt compared to A Hardworking Man's single week. Even The Chosen, Last Supper with half the theaters, nearly lapped Snow White. But if you crunch the per-theater cash flow, both films clown Snow White's numbers. And with Minecraft dropping next week, yeah, Snow White's toast. As of March 30th, 2025, the flick's total haul limped to about $66.9 million in the US and Canada, plus $75.8 million elsewhere, scraping together $142.8 million globally. So it's official, Snow White face planted thus. Forget breaking even. Analysts are calling a loss north of $100 million. But to twist the knife, the movie's IMDb score tanked to a jaw-dropping 1.5 out of 10 at one point. That's not just rough, that's, should we erase this from existence? Rough. This is the same studio that turned the Lion King remake into a billion-dollar slam dunk, yet for Snow White, theaters were emptier than a desert. Folks were sharing seat maps bluer than the Pacific, which is almost poetic since Rachel boldly claimed before the premiere that fans would be lining up for her flicks.
And to everyone who hates when I win, the winged victory came to the Louvre in pieces, and people still line up to see her. And I can only hope that despite my flaws, and despite my cracks and my breaks, and there are many of them, that at every premiere and everything I do, people will wait in line to see.
And well, that aged like milk. That at every premiere and everything I do, people will wait in line to see. They lined up, sure, racing to snag tickets for literally anything but Snow White. So when that clip bubbled back up, it was like the cosmos slamming her in Ultra HD. The real kicker? Rachel Zegler didn't just star in this mess, she yapped it into a ditch. She trashed the 1937 classic as weird, called The Prince a stalker creep, and swore the tale needed a reboot.
I know that you've told me before that your version of Snow White is different, and it's more of a 2022 version of Snow White. What did you mean by that?
I mean, the original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her.
Yeah.
Weird. So we didn't do that this time.
Reality is that the cartoon was made 85 years ago, and therefore it's extremely dated. There's a big focus on her love story, with a guy who literally stalks her. That alone had Disney purists, raised on the original, ready to riot. Then she doubled down, telling whole political factions to skip the flick. Dude, you're the face of a kid-friendly blockbuster not running for office. She basically told half the nation to bounce. And surprise, they did. No issue with having takes, but maybe don't weld them to a legendary family flick. And by now, we've all clocked the drama between Rachel Zegler and Gal Gadot. Bad enough that Disney had to juice up Gadot's security after Rachel's posts sparked a flood of hate and death threats. It got uglier when Rachel dropped an odd jab about Gal being a pageant queen, then ghosted her in a sappy Instagram cast thank you post. Accident or a sly dig? You call it. After this whole circus, I'd bet Gal Gadot's got a quiet smirk watching Rachel Zegler eat this backlash. Because by this point, Disney's PR crew was dousing flames like they'd clocked in for overtime. They supposedly hauled in a social media whiz to tame Rachel's post, but that was like trying to nanny a hurricane. She'd already blown up online, slamming the original, dissing fans, and towing her film through a tsunami of chaos. You know it's grim when the producer's booking a red-eye just to sit you down for a heart-to-heart about your antics. Word is, even Spielberg cocked an eyebrow at how unhinged it had gotten.
Behind the scenes, you guys know as well as I do that those executives like Spielberg are looking at that saying, Rachel Zegler can F right off. That is totally uplifting and the right way to be woke, Link, when you actually cancel the roles for the marginalized population because just putting them on screen is somehow racist.
Things spiraled so hard, Rachel had to crank out an apology post. So unlike her, it might as well have been stamped with Mickey's paw print. Fans weren't biting though, and the wreckage was set, actions cash checks, and it looks like Hollywood started giving Rachel the cold shoulder. She was supposedly locked in to voice a role in Toy Story 5, slashed. Rumored for Pirates of the Caribbean, vanished. A horror trilogy with Plumhouse, not anymore. Seems no one's lining up to collab with someone hauling more baggage than ticket stubs. But after the crash, Rachel posted some spiel about how Snow White was this soul-shaking, life-altering gig for her. Thing is, with the empty theater clips, that weird online mute button on Gal Gadot, and non-stop damage control, the implosion was pretty much locked in. The movie's now a go-to jab at Disney's midlife crisis, and Rachel Zegler, once a shoe-in for the A-list, has morphed into a living lesson on how quick Hollywood ditches you when you blend ego, politics, and a 370 million fairy tale into a blender. From sparring with fans to brewing co-star drama and sulking through her own flick in a dead quiet theater, she didn't just stumble through a rocky press run. She cannonballed into a full-on public train wreck. Right now, Rachel's headlining a film that's been smothered by memes, fan rage, and studio facepalms. So hit me in the comments. Is this curtains for Rachel Zegler, or can she claw back from this regal catastrophe? Till next time, just remember, not every fairy tale lands a happy ending, especially if you're Rachel Zegler. Peace.